The theme for this month inside of the Alliance is faith and finances. I love both conversations. And so today, what I want to share with you to celebrate the month is my first $30,000 month. Now, you guys know this was years ago. We've surpassed $300,000 in a month before. But I want to share with you the $30,000 a month because it was such a quantum jump. The most I had made at that point was about 12,000 in a month. And I want to share with you how I made that quantum jump using faith for my finances. So stick with me. Hey guys, it's Dr. Stephanie here. I am a neuro-metaphysicist and I help people just like you shift their programming so that they can make more money, be happier than ever before, and manifest a life that they love. Y'all like my new tagline? I'm working on it. It might change up a little bit there now that we're focusing solely on living a rich life here on this channel. So I'm just switching it up a little bit. I'm excited to have this conversation with you today. As I mentioned, June is all about faith and finances inside of the Alliance. There are two levels to the Alliance. There's like this base level, and it's still the thing for that level. And then there is the higher level, the SQL level, where it includes office hours where you can call in, ask questions. We really laser focus in on what's going on in your life, your business, your finances, your career, whatever you're doing. We really work through that. And the theme for this month is faith and finances. And I thought it was really important that I share this with you because I have so many faith stories. I don't know if I knew for a very long time that I was walking and operating in faith. A lot of people might call it delusion, but I will say that there's a big difference between faith and delusion. And actually, I was going to say, I'm going to wait to tell you, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit now. Now, if you are in the Alliance, make sure you check this month's newsletter that came out today. I did like 3 full pages talking about really what faith is, how to have faith, and how to have it around your finances. And it's going to blow your mind. And I think you're going to hear me talk about faith in a way that you probably haven't heard about faith being spoken about. But you've also heard me say I'm a fan of delusion, and I am. But there is like this delusion where you're going to co-create and manifest like all these beautiful things, and you aren't doing the work. You are literally simply living in delusion. That's not one that I am a fan of, but that is the one that most people tend to have. So I want to talk about it from there, like the difference between faith and I said this in my newsletter. Excuse me, guys. I have like this residual cough. And if I go through and edit this video, I'm going to be like the cough out. It's going to be a completely chopped up video. So just excuse my residual cough that's left from me being sick a couple weeks ago. I don't know when it's leaving, but hey, we'll deal with it. But faith, I'm going to say something that it's going to sound like it's religion because I'm using a scripture, but faith is not about a religion. Faith is not about a deity by any means, right? Anyone can have faith. Even if you are agnostic, you can have faith. It is a belief in something, right? And I'm not going to go into deep detail because again, that was why I wrote the 3-page newsletter. But what I am going to say is faith without works really is dead. And a lot of the conversation I think you will see in the online space, specifically on YouTube, will make you feel as though, especially if we're talking about faith in terms of manifestation, that you don't have to do anything. And 1000%, the people who tell you that, they're literally, they didn't make money because they made money using faith principles. They made money by telling you you didn't need action to manifest. Like you're their ticket to make money. You're their ticket, right? And I'm telling you, from living 16 years of having a business and 16 years of really, actually longer than that, of creating the things I desire, there is always going to be some action that's connected. So faith always is connected to action. It is forever connected to action. Delusion has no action. It is just these grandiose dreams that there's no action or follow through for, right? And so we want to make sure we are living in faith and we aren't living in that delusion. So when I say delusion, I use it because I just like the word delusion, but the reality is I need to stop that because delusion isn't what I live in. I take action for the things I have, the things I desire, and I highly suggest you do as well. So I want to talk to you about the very first 30K month that I had. And it was more like 34,000, but just for the sake of like doing this, we'll say 30,000. And the most I had made at that point in my business was about 12,000. And let me be 1,000% transparent with you about this. I was thrilled at 12,000. 12,000 was the most I had made in a month in my entire life at that point. And so just know that it's not like I wasn't appreciative of the 12,000. As a matter of fact, if I was to be transparent, and I'm thinking through this as I'm talking to you, I didn't have like a 30K goal or 40K goal or 50K goal. I knew that I wanted to work my way up, but I only stayed at around 12K for a couple of months, literally. I literally put my head down and I did the work, but I involved faith principles in it the entire time. So I had two different things I was offering at the time. And if you have followed me way before I was on this YouTube channel, you followed me on social media, you will probably remember I had a program called Freedom-Based Business Academy, and I brought it back several years, but this was the very first offering of Freedom-Based Business Academy. And Freedom-Based Business Academy was 6 modules, and I taught them live. So how people love to do like courses now. Yeah, if I sell it, it's a replay, but I taught 6 weeks live, where we would hop on, this was before Zoom, we would hop on a call as a group, and I would teach different principles around building a freedom-based business. Now, what made this beautiful is this was the very first month that I had packed myself and my kid up and we traveled the world for a year. This was the very first month. And this was also the year that I crossed $1 million. It's really amazing because my skyrocket happened like this. Like it happened very quickly. So my very first stop was Sicily, which is funny because if you watch me here, you know now I own several homes in Sicily. And we were going from Sicily to this little area called Casanova in Tuscany, right outside of Pisa. And then we left there and we went to Amsterdam and then we went to Bali. So Freedom-Based Business Academy was something I was creating and curating through the process through Italy. And it was talking about how I got to the point that even though I wasn't at $1 million, I was able to travel, homeschool my son, have those experiences with my son while running a business. Now, I feel like today, because this has been a long time ago, yeah, my son is 17 now. So, and he was a very small kid at that time. I feel like today, when people talk about it, they're talking about like courses and ebooks and things of that nature. And nothing's wrong with having those things. But I was actually actively working with and teaching clients at this time. I had a couple offerings. I had that Freedom-Based Business Academy, or you could work with me with the intensive. And with the intensive, you could do it virtually. Freedom-Based Business Academy was $2,000. And or not in, or you could come in and do an intensive virtually, which was 2,000, or depending on where I was, like some of my locations, the intensive were 3,000, some of my locations, the intensive were 5,000. So anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000, you could fly to my location. And so I was one of the very first people doing intensives in Italy and in Bali and in Thailand and in Cyprus. It's one of the very first people doing intensives in these places. So you had options, again, virtually or in person. And those were my only offerings. And so for those who don't know the story, when I went off on this trip, I didn't have a lot of money at that point, right? And I really, if we were to be honest, I could not afford. People would have called this delusional. I couldn't afford a full year away with a kid. I took a nanny with me, just trusting and believing I would be able to pay her consistently. I had not consistently made enough money as of yet. And I just knew that I was going to, I was consistently making money, but I wasn't consistently doing 30,000. As a matter of fact, I hadn't done 30,000 yet. Again, the most I had made was 12,000. So I created the 6-week program and I talked about how I created my programs, how I figured out what my expertise was. I started out talking about money story, which is very funny because this many years later, what is the thing that I focus on? Money. But at the time, I wasn't aware of how important the subconscious was going to be in my life. But I knew that the money story, your story about money, your relationship with money, was going to be an integral part in creating success because I knew I had to start working on that before I was able to create any success. Now you have to remember, I'm doing 12,000 a month. I feel like 12,000 a month is successful. Like that's really important. Like I feel like today it's like 70, girl, you weren't doing anything. But for back then, I really was killing the game at 12,000. So this particular month, I knew that I wanted to feel Freedom-Based Business Academy. So what I did was I suspended signing anybody up for intensives and I laser focused in on selling Freedom-Based Business Academy. I wanted 20 women inside of Freedom-Based Business Academy. And that was what my full focus on. Now, don't forget, it was $2,000. I did not have a payment plan that was available. And honestly, I did not know, if 20 people were going to sign up, but I knew it needed to be a faith walk. And so every single day, there was no live stream then. Every single day, I committed myself to a few things. I woke up every morning and I created affirmations around signing 20 women into Freedom-Based Business Academy. After like the first couple days, I had a set of affirmations that felt really, really good to me. And I said those affirmations all the time. Excuse me. I'm so like, I know it's annoying. It's annoying for me too. So I created these affirmations literally and said these affirmations like whenever I would think about it. I caught myself, so we had like about an 8 to 10 minute walk to get to the piazza, which is like the square, the center. It's where like Italians will congregate in the evening time. And I was there around September. It was still warm. It was beautiful. I was in a water town called Sfericavallo. And so, but before everything was shut down for siesta, we would walk to the store. And yeah, I would be walking to the store and I would be like, 20 beautiful women are, and I knew then that I worked mostly with women. And so like through the years, it's always been amazing men who would join, who was like, I don't care about being in a group of all women. I still want to learn from women. And I love that women tend to like lead the self-development movement. I don't know why, but it's true. And I was like, I want 20 amazing, beautiful women inside of Freedom-Based Business Academy. And I would literally say this the entire walk. And then I might change it. I see 20 beautiful women inside of Freedom-Based Business Academy. I am so grateful to have 20 amazing women inside of Freedom-Based Business Academy. Freedom-Based Business Academy has really changed the life of these 20 women. These 20 women are so excited about being in this program and shifting their money story and creating their offering and putting it in the world, because I would share how to do that inside of that program. I was more on the business coaching side at that time. And I did this every single day. I changed nothing else in my business. The way I was already doing videos regularly. I would create videos and post them on my social media. I would have my free Facebook group at the time, and I would be in the Facebook group talking and promoting. I already had an email list because, you know to build an email list. And that was a whole bunch of years ago, over a decade ago. And So I was doing the normal stuff, emailing my list regularly, but the only thing changed is I really started working on this. So I started doing these affirmations. Then I started being in expectation. Like I consciously created this expectation that I would open social media and someone would be in my DM. Now, the main social media then was Facebook. Instagram was around, but Instagram was rather new. And I don't remember if we even had DM. Most of my connecting with people was DM on Facebook, or you could email me. And I remember opening up social media with an expectation that I would have a DM from someone who wanted to ask me questions about Freedom Based Business Academy, or who would DM me and be like, Stephanie, I'm so excited. I just joined Freedom Based Business Academy. I would literally move in expectation every time I opened the app. And before I would open the app, I would like see you got a new message kind of thing. And then I would open the app, like just expecting it. I did not know at that time that moving in expectation was faith. Like I was having faith that I was going to open the app and folks was telling me they were signing up. By the end, I did have 20. As a matter of fact, I had 21 people sign up at $2,000. What was left was about 34,000 after, I want to say I was probably using PayPal at the time, was probably my merchant service at the time. Whatever merchant service, what was left was about $34,000. That was mine. And I did a promotion period of 2 weeks. So during those 2 weeks, I'm walking every day saying this every single day, because in Europe, you go to the grocery store pretty much every day, every other day. You're at the piazza every single day. I wake up and I'm on social media every day. So I'm waking up in expectation. I was doing the same things that I was doing as far as doing free calls and free trainings to get people in. So I just continued to do the things that I needed to do. The only thing that I added were these mindset pieces, or at the time I would have called them mindset pieces. Then I also went in and continued working on my money story and rewriting my money story and journaling about how even though I may not have grown up with millions, the reality was, and this is true, I didn't like, because I'm saying this is true so that you can see how I changed certain things. So I did not grow up not at all in poverty. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I didn't grow up wealthy. I think I thought I grew up wealthy, but we were upper middle class. We were in a really nice suburban community, sidewalks. Like I was not a city girl, but working class parents. All right. But even in that, by this point, I knew that my parents had some struggle in there. Now, I did not know this until later, but once I found out about the struggle in my late teens, it started shifting things within me. It started shifting my money story. I started doubting that money was available. Before about 17, I didn't know there was a limit to money and how much money was available. Side note, there is not. But around 17, I adopted that there was this limit to money. And so I started rewriting my money story. And I basically continued the story that I had prior to 17, realizing that we didn't have no money. That my mama worked real hard, that my mama had messed around and remarried and had a baby. And the reason I didn't have a car is because she had a baby and she couldn't afford a baby and a car. And I was like, this isn't my problem. Like, just get the car. I didn't know we didn't have any money for that. So I rewrote the story, right? I rewrote the story. No, I didn't have a car, but my mom just chose not to get me a car. She said I did not need a car. Like I changed the story completely so that the new story would fit what I desired. Now, in hindsight, you guys know I don't follow all of the principles of, say, Neville. A lot of you love Neville. But in hindsight, now in my 40s, well, I found out about Neville in my 30s, but in my 40s, thinking about Neville's work, I realized that I unconsciously was doing revision when I was journaling. I was revising what happened as a child or as a teen that gave me this belief that money was limited. I was revising and had no idea that that was what I was doing by journaling around this. Like, my experience with money was always good. It was amazing. I was able to get everything that I desired. Like, just really replaying that whole thing. I replay waking up on my birthday. Yes, being disappointed not having a car, but the reason I didn't have a car was completely different than what really happened. I revised the entire thing. Excuse me. This was the work that I did, the only additional work. And I put my head down, I did that, and I focused on the same things I was doing every day. Nothing else changed. And in 2 weeks, I had all the women sign. And what's also funny is about a quarter of those women all came on the very last day. A lot of times when people have specific goals in their life and business and they don't see it unfolding quickly, they'll stop before the end. And what I just had this innate sense is, if I am going to promote for 2 whole weeks and promotions end on Friday at say 9, I'm closing the cart, then I need to go, even if it feels like I'm not going to reach my goal. But I reached my goal. And I actually didn't reach the goal until the very last day, probably the last 3 hours. So I want to share this with you because the only thing that changed here was my faith. The only thing that changed here was how I was thinking and believing about this launch. My strategy did not change at all. My conversation about the program did not change at all. The payments, the cost did not change at all. I did not offer a discount. I did move into desperation. Literally, the only thing that changed for me was I started doing that internal work. And it's so funny when I think back again on my life, and when I think back even on this, I'm not shocked that, a decade later, I went back to school for my master's and Ph.D. and I did this focus in subconscious reprogramming, because unconsciously, this is the work that I had even been doing and working on within myself that led me to start leaning in again on money story with other people. That's how I started all of my programs, was conversations and leaning in on what is your money story? How did your story, how did your parents' story, how did your story affect you today? I had no idea that I was talking about the subconscious. Isn't that funny? So I wanted to share that with you. But by the end of the month, I looked up, I was so focused on signing the 20 women that I didn't even realize how much money I'd made. So my goal was actually not related to money at all. My goal was about the number of people that I had in there. I looked up, and all of a sudden, if we go for sales, I had sold $42,000 of sales and had about 34,000 that I brought home. And I just could not believe that really leaning in and doing a couple of weeks of affirming and declaring and repeating and like only filling my mind with that which I desired, and really curating and cultivating an environment that supported that. Meaning, I wasn't at home anymore. I didn't have I was living with my mom before I left, and I did not um I don't want this to sound bad, it's just the truth, but I won't say that I had the most positive. It was not a very happy home environment for me as an adult being at home. It wasn't happy. And even though me up and leaving was delusional, it was definitely me up and leaving and believing that during that year my business was going to turn around. It's crazy because within a month it turned around, and believing my business was going to turn around. And unconsciously, what that also meant is I put myself in a different environment. I put myself in a different environment where my energy could be higher, where my frequency could shift, and I could move and operate in a space of faith. It's very difficult to move and operate in a space of faith, of having an abundance, when people are riding your back about things and you feel completely stressed out and you feel like you're never doing enough. And like a lot of things that I was actually going through emotionally at that time. It was a lifesaver for me, a mental saver, a mind saver, to get up and leave. Not sure. Like, I didn't have like monthly paying clients yet. Not sure where more money was coming from. Not sure really what I was going to do. And just up and leaving. All of that aligned perfectly as what it was supposed to be, because when we talk about faith, and if you've been following me, we have a new Instagram page though. It's called Your Rich Life. So I started a new one. I still have the one under my name, but I started a new one. We can talk just about money. So if you notice on there, I've been talking about what we're doing for June. And one of the things I listed on one of the reels was really curating this environment. That's what I mean. I had to curate a new environment. I had to get my butt away from where I was, because where I was not conducive to really doing more. It just wasn't. I was never going to be able to see the money. My environment at the time just wasn't that. And so I look back and I realize the things I tell you guys to do, like curating your environment, really making sure all you're listening to are things that promote what you desire. The only thing I listened to, and it sounds nuts, and you guys have heard me say this, at that time, all I listened to was The Game of Life and How to Play It. I ain't listened to nothing else. Over and over and over and over. As a matter of fact, I'm lying. I guess I'm not, because I listened to that, but I was reading books. I was reading The Science of Getting Rich. I was reading Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, which is what we're actually doing in our book club this month. It's an oldie, but such a goodie. You know, I was taking courses, I was doing things, but when it comes to my everyday experience, like, I wanted to make sure I was in an environment that supported me moving forward in my career and feeling like I'm expanded, and, you know, those sorts of things. Listening to audios and watching documentaries and trainings that support what I desire. And so it's part of the reason that I did decide to do the alliance. Like, so for instance, I was telling them, like, I really want that to turn into their Netflix. Like, you want to binge what's in there. So inside of the alliance on the app, you can only see it if you've already upgraded. I've started adding wealth videos and documentaries about money and documentaries about wealth. Why? Because this process of really moving in faith and manifesting a different financial experience in life. And a different financial experience can be you going from 100,000, 200,000 to you going to 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, right? It's always another level, right? If you at 500 million, you can go to 1 billion. It's always a different level. But it's because I recognize I didn't have an app that I could go to other than YouTube. And then I had to like go through and figure out what to watch and how to watch it. There was nowhere for me to go. There was really no one talking about money from a space of co-creation, manifestation, subconscious reprogramming. No one talking about shifting your relationship with money. This just was not a conversation that was being had. As a matter of fact, I was one of the first people having a conversation. Now you see people, like, I started talking about frequency, and you guys probably like, oh, everybody talk about frequency. Not when I started talking about frequency. So you don't hear me saying it as often, because number one, I like to play this little game where once other people pick it up, I'll choose another word and I'll just see how long it takes other people to use the word. But I started talking about these things, and from a space of money. And because I wish I had that, it completely changed my experience with money by me having curating this environment. But it would have been great if I had a place to go and actually have the support and have that mentor and know what videos to watch and what books to read and what audios to listen to, and have it available, and have other sisters and such in a community that I can get in there and say, like, hey guys, like, today I know I'm supposed to be like high vibe or whatever, but today doesn't feel real great, and this is why. And like, just have somewhere to say that, and then be able to correct it, right? And having other people be able to support that, because sometimes we do feel that. I'm not big on spiritual bypassing. So getting it out is often good, as long as you get it out and then start having a different conversation. Anyway, this is going much longer. I just wanted to share with you guys that story on how I use my faith principles. The principle of knowing, just knowing that I was going to get online and people had messaged me, just knowing people had signed up, just repeating it and getting it plugged in and like imprinted into both my consciousness and my subconsciousness, because that was the only way to get it. And then the next time I ran the program, I didn't even have to do like, 20 amazing people are signed up. You want to know why? Because I actually believed it at that point. Like, I only had to do it because I didn't see it and I needed implanted and embedded so that I could develop that belief, that I cultivate that belief, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm rambling, thanks to Adderall. And so I am going to go. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you had any ahas, any of that, y'all let me know down in the comment section. And if you haven't joined us inside of the Alliance SQL, the Alliance, the base level is like the step down. The main thing, Alliance SQL used to be just the School of Quantum Living. If you've been in the school, this is not the school that you knew the school to be. It is, oh my gosh, it is such an entirely different level. And honestly, it should be probably double what the cost is. And some people have been in there. They hung with me for 3 years from the beginning. And I love each of them because they're grandfathered in at their rates. But basically, every month there is an open office hours where you can call in and we're all on the phone and we're lasering in on your things. You get a newsletter every Monday, which if you like long form blog content with me explaining things, talking about things, you got that. We do specific workshops and trainings that are recorded that you can watch whenever you want to. It's just so much goodness in there. And we are focused on money. We're focused whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you are working in corporate America and you want to shift your relationship with money. Our main focus, our upfront conversation is about making money. But the little secret is we have several people in there who are already doing 7 figures. And not only are they already doing 7 figures, what they want to learn how to do is not be where I was, which was what I like to call a broke millionaire, which you saw the story of a couple of videos ago. So I'm talking about, how to take that money and how to grow that money. So you still live an amazing life you love, but you also then have money. So that if you ever want to stop working, money's still making money for you. You stop working, but your money did not stop working for you. So yeah, we're highly focused on money no matter where you are in life. I think that is easily attainable for most people. The highest level SQL is about $5 a day. So if you buy Starbucks, it's less than Starbucks. If you buy Dunkin', it's less than Dunkin'. And if you don't want to do the calls and it's just not attainable for you right now, you can do the lower level, which is about $1 and some change a day. It's about $400 a year. And it's broken into quarterly payments. I think of like 145, 140, 145. Might have that quarterly payment wrong. Don't quote me on that. But it's broken into quarterly payments for you. And if you want to be able to come to the calls and have access to everything we do, that's the $5 a day. It comes to right under $2,000 for the full year. And we broke that into quarters. So it's $550 a quarter. So an excellent value for what you are getting, the support you have, and the way it changes your financial story forever. So anyway, I'm going to shut up, guys. Toodles.